Here we go do chores, dude. Good morning, darlings. Welcome back to Roots Refuge Farm. I'm currently heading out to the barn this morning to milk my goats. It has rained all night, and I have to say, I know I say a lot of things are my favorite. Oh, it's my favorite golden hour, it's my favorite this. Really, I just love being alive. But there is something very special about a farm the morning after a soaking rain. Everything is just so satiated and alive, and it makes me feel really alive too. And I love being alive. There's all Hope. She's been doing good lately. I took this picture of Hope yesterday, and I was just out here with my camera and snapped a picture kind of from a low down angle. Jerseys are so bony. My jerseys are actually in good shape. Hope had milk fever. Now it's been, I don't know, over a month ago. The vet came out and just said everybody looked really good. But even with my jerseys being in very good shape, they're bony. Just jerseys are. Dairy cows are pretty bony. And this particular picture I took of Hope from the ground, I mean, it just really accentuated those bony hips sticking out and how you can kind of see their backbone and stuff. I sent it to a friend of mine, and I was like, I call this the least flattering angle for a jersey. She said, you should post that online. The comments would be fun. I do not begrudge people for their negative assumptions when they see like skinny dairy cows and they're like, oh my god, are you starving your animal? Because I remember after, even like I'd been keeping goats for a few years. A local farm back when I was still in Arkansas got Jersey cows, and I went down there to get some milk. And she said, do you want to see our process? Do you want to see our stuff? And I was like, absolutely. It's before we had all this. And it was very much something that I was like dreaming of. And they brought that Jersey cow into the barn to milk her. And I remember being like revolted, being like, oh my gosh. In retrospect, the cow was not like unhealthy skinny. It was just a normal dairy cow. But because I had never been around dairy cows, I didn't know. And seeing like the bones sticking out and stuff, I was just like, this can't be okay. And it is okay. I just didn't know any better. The thing with being online is you deal with a lot of people that don't know any better. And if you're used to beef cattle, dairy cows look like crazy skinny, but that's just, even healthy dairy cows look like that. Ours are healthy. But some pictures I'm like, not the most flattering angle. Toast, are you coming in to beg? Sometimes we keep a bucket in here where like if we're filling up jars and say there's like this much left that we couldn't, it's not worth dirtying another jar, we'll just throw it in the bucket. Or if somehow the milk gets contaminated, we put it in the bucket. It's the pig bucket. Sometimes when we're pulling cream, if we have skim that we don't have something that we're trying to do with it, we'll put it in the pig bucket, take it to the pigs or to the chickens. The other day, Toast came in here with me, the little cat. And she has a bowl out there. I'll give her a splash of milk occasionally, but she knows that bucket's in here. She turned it over. There was milk everywhere. Thankfully, that was not, I was not trying to shoot a video when that happened. Stuff like that could really turn that sideways. Literally. Good morning, girls. Would you like to be milked now? Hello, Wit. So in the time that I took a break from YouTube, I took a few weeks off, Wit became an honorary horse. I put him outside. I've got a couple of buddies lined up for him from different places, and I just haven't gotten them yet. And we put him out in the main pasture because I couldn't put him in with the girls because he's technically old enough to breed them now. I don't think he would yet, but he could. And also he keeps trying to nurse off of Claire, and he was tearing her up. So he's weaned now. I put him out in the pasture. At first he was really freaked out by the horses. They were very big, but I had a friend tell me, you know, a lot of people keep goats with horses, like rodeo horses, and I was like, they'll probably work it out. It'll probably be okay. I think it'll be fine. I'll keep an eye on it. Well, a few days later, I'm out in the garden, and all of a sudden I hear the horses running. One of my favorite sounds is when the horses just take off. You like feel it in your guts, you know. Side note, Jeremiah and I were discussing recently, because when our 5 horses take off running across the pasture, the way it just like shakes your soul, we were like, what would it have been like, you know, to have like 1,000 cavalry on horseback charging? Like thinking about like different points in history when people really did fight wars on horseback, and I'm thinking I cannot even fathom the terror that would evoke in me, because just 5 horses running across the pasture is enough to really move you inside. Anyway, I hear the horses running. I'm in the garden. I always stop what I'm doing. When the horses are running, I always stop. I always watch. It's just so majestic. Well, then I see Wit like running along with them, and I'm like, oh, is he messing with them? And then I realized, no, he was not messing with them. He was running with them, like this tiny goat just running with the horses, and they just treat him like he's their little goat buddy, their little goat sidekick, just part of the posse. It is the cutest thing I've ever seen. And so in the evening now, when the horses all come up for their cookies, I give Wit one of them also, because, you know, he's one of the gang. So at the time of filming this, I'm technically still like not posting on YouTube. I have a video I'm working on that will be like my first video back, and then you'll probably see this one afterwards. I'm spending this week getting kind of like ahead on content so I can post things. They'll probably be posted a week or 2 after they happen. But I need to do that going into the summer because we have some really big things happening this summer, and I need to maintain the capacity to be able to just like not post videos for a little while, or not shoot videos while still being able to post videos. Anyway, I'm filming ahead. As of today, Jackson is done with high school. He finished. Yesterday was his last day. That's been extremely emotional. I think the harder thing for me was not yesterday. Yesterday he just went in and had to take a test. He didn't even have to go for the full day. But last week on Friday, I made his last school lunch. After all these years. Of course, we homeschooled for a lot of years, so I wasn't packing lunch during that time. But that's something that I have maintained. Yes, my kid's 18 and I was still packing his lunch. But it's my joy. Like, it's been something that I have really loved doing. And that was pretty emotional to, like, come to the end of that era. But as we get closer to graduation festivities, I'm embracing viewing the end of this season as a finishing rather than just an ending, because finishing well is good. There is definitely a lot to process when you've raised a child up and they're at the point of stepping into adulthood and making adult decisions. And the truth is I'm insanely proud of my son. And the last 18 years have been 18 years well spent. I'm definitely having to process a lot of emotion, and I've kind of identified, you know, I had Jackson when I was 19, so, and I've shared this story, but I remember being in the hospital. He was born late at night, and this nurse came in the like wee hours, and I had taken my hair down and was brushing it out, and she said something about me being a beautiful woman, and I very distinctly remember this moment because I had never been called a woman. I had been called like young lady or young, you know, young adult or girl. I got called girl a lot. And I just remember being affronted by the realization that I was a woman. And it came so, you know, coinciding with motherhood for me. that one of the big things that I have been processing in the boy that made me a mom, stepping into adulthood, is that I've never been an adult without him being dependent on me. And that's a lot to process. And I mean, I'm not going to say, oh, I've got it all tidy, neat up in a bow. Like, I've cried a lot. I feel overwhelmingly joyful and thankful and proud. And I'm just so thankful. Really, the thing that I've been sitting in and the feeling that I have just come back to over and over again, I am so thankful to be a mom, you know, and to have been able to do this most humble and holy thing of raising children. It is such a joy. It's hard. It requires so much of you, but it's just so worthy. And so we are planning right now, you know, we're leading up to graduation and graduation party and family coming in and all of that. And also, with that, putting the garden in, taking care of the farm, doing the daily chores. It's been wonderful. And taking the time to really fully be here and not worry about working video-wise. It was the right choice, but I'm really glad to be back. Y'all, I just did the dumbest thing. I can't believe I just did that. So I recently mixed things up. Routines are hard for me. I have a hard time establishing routines. And when I do finally get something like locked in, it does not change well. It like the filing up in my mind, just the way it works. So I have been milking into this container and using this container for my wash water. Because when I first started with this container, I was like, oh, well, this isn't big enough to milk into, so I'm just not going to do it. Well, it's actually the same size as this container. A little bit less because this has a wider lip, and so this holds just a tiny bit more. So I switched it up. So I put my wash water in this now, and I milk into this because this has a lid, and we're back into fly season. So being able to throw a lid on top of the milk, like in between goats or when I'm taking a second if I need to walk away, because with having it in this open container, I was ending up with bugs in my milk. That, you know, I don't want that. But I've only been doing it this way for like a week. And I just came into here, and because for the last, 2 months, this has been the wash water, I just dumped it in the sink. The milk that I just milked, I just dumped it right in the sink. And it was there. It was just going down the sink before I even realized what I had done. Just so you know, that term, don't cry over spilled milk, I don't think whoever coined that term did it because you poured milk out of the jug that you bought at the grocery store in the morning and then you spilled it at the kitchen table. I just can't see why anybody would cry over that. However, when you just spent the last 30 minutes of your life wrangling goats and milking to have the milk, and you dump it down the sink accidentally, it makes you want to cry a little bit. You know? I have nothing good to say about that. There's nothing for you today because I goofed. Come on. Oh, the rain has started back up. So the gate was left open because they're putting hay out, and Bear has come into the goat yard and he knows he's not supposed to be, so he's going to slink up here. The walker's in. I'm going to wait up here so that I can open this gate. Not supposed to be in here. I used to let Bear go with me everywhere I went on the farm, and then there was an incident once where a goat had gotten caught in an electric net, but the electric net wasn't hot because the solar energizer had gone dead because it had been really overcast and yucky for a few days. And this particular day, this goat kept getting tangled up in this net and was getting upset. Well, Bear was in here with me. I was milking a cow, and at some point, I guess the Energizer got enough charge to pop the fence and make it hot, and the goat was like kind of tangled in the fence at that point. I mean, I'm milking a cow. I'm underneath the cow. Well, Gabriel was in here, our guardian dog, And he doesn't know. He doesn't know that the electric net is why, and that it's been overcast, and then all of a sudden the sun's been coming out and now it's popping the goat. All he knows is there's a dog in here that's not normally in here. One of my goats is screaming, and Gabriel like went for Bear. It's the only time that's ever happened. It's the only time that he ever felt like Bear was threatening what it was he was protecting. And ultimately, that's not on either one of the dogs, it's on me as the owner and as the person who's stewarding these animals. So since then, there are certain areas with the livestock that I just don't bring Bear around. Like just now, he's getting in front of the tractor, he's not moving out of the way. And I can get frustrated at him, or I can be like, okay, I gotta close the gate. I can't let him get into a situation where he could get hurt, or he can hurt somebody else, or something else. He is a great dog, but in some ways, he's just, you know, he's a pet, and he doesn't always make the best farm decisions. Hey y'all, editing Jess here. Well, I just finished editing this video that I shot a handful of days ago and realized that I failed to finish shooting it, so I didn't want to miss the opportunity to tell you. I bless you. Until next time.